Right before we jump into this video, if you're interested in learning how to shoot video with your DSLR, go ahead and click up on the screen right now to see a preview of the FroKnowsPhoto guide to DSLR video. Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a comparison of all of the Nikon full frame cameras that are on the market as of 10/28/14. We have everything from the D610, the 750, the 810, and the Nikon D4s. The point of this video is to try to help you figure out which camera is for you when you're going to a full frame camera. I get a lot of questions of, should I go with this? Should I go with that? What are the pros to this and the cons to this? Well, I've done a review of the Nikon D600, which is almost the same as the Nikon D610. I've done a review of the 750 and the 810, and I haven't done one of the D4s because you don't need a review to tell you that this is an awesome camera. The annotations are on the screen to see those reviews. Sorry, Stephen, for making extra work for you, but they are there so you can check them out. What I'm not going to do in this video is go ahead and do a side-by-side test in the studio and go, this ISO is better, that ISO is better. Like I said, all the reviews have been done. You can see full res exports as well as DNG or RAW files to determine whether the camera is for you from that. But I want to figure out who the cameras are for and in what situations. The D4s is kind of the odd man out in this group. It is the most expensive. The notes say $64,96.95 as of today. That is a behemoth of a camera. It is extremely expensive. It also is a very large camera. I love it. This is my personal one. The rest are on loan from, actually no, I bought the D750. Nikon has lent me the D810 and the D610, and they all have to go back shortly. But look, the D4s is probably the best camera that's sitting here, but not everybody is going to spend that amount of money for it. So we look at the D810, and that's priced at how much less? $3,200 less than the D4s. We've got the D750 clocking in at, how much is this one? Got my notes, $2296.95, and the D610, which just had a price drop, is $1696.95. Now that's all without the grip. Big differences, because the difference between the D4s and the D810 is $3,200. The D810 and the D750 is $1,000, and then we have a $600 difference between the D610 and the D750. Let's ignore this camera right here, because it's probably not in anybody's price range, right? It may be in your price range, but it may not be practical for your first camera. So if I was to purchase my first full frame camera, I'd have to decide on the Nikon side, I'd decide between these three right here, the 610, 750, and 810. Who are they for? Look, the D610 at the price of $1696.95 is a major steal. This is a fantastic camera for just getting started. It's going to give you nice video. It's going to give you fantastic photos. It's going to give you great high ISO performance. Now the D750 is going to give you a little better high ISO performance as well as better video quality, and almost has the same autofocus functions, or it has the same autofocus as the D810. So these are the things you have to figure out. Is it worth spending an extra $600 to move into the D750 for your first thing? What you have to ask yourself is, are you a full-time professional getting paid for your work, or are you just somebody who likes to take photos? If you like to take photos, I think this is a no-brainer if you want to get into a full-frame area. I think the D610 is an amazing camera to start as your first full-frame camera if you're an amateur. If you're not a professional, if you get paid for your work here and there, that's fine. But the $600 difference may not be worth it for you, because you can put that $600 into glass. As you know, glass. Glass is so important. And as you get into the full-frame lines, glass becomes even more important. You do not want to put crappy lenses on a full-frame body. You're not doing it justice, and you're not going to get the best results out of the camera that you spent all of this money for. So I think the D610 as an option just off the bat is really nice. If it's a backup camera for a professional, I think it's a fantastic backup camera. But let's move on to the D750. I just got done reviewing this, and this may be the best, most well-rounded full-frame camera that Nikon has ever made. That's saying a lot compared to all of these ones that are sitting here. The video capabilities, professional. The being able to switch apertures and have the manual controls while filming video is something that you don't have in the D610, but you have it here and in all of these other cameras going up. The still images in this are fantastic. The ISO capability is not better than the D4s, but it's better than the D810 and it's better than the D610. The videos, the photos, the autofocusing, it's a really amazing option. Now the difference in price between the 810 and the 750 is $1,000. This is a tough decision. Do you get an 810 and who's it for? The 810 is more of a, if you're a full-time portrait photographer, you shoot weddings, you do a lot of studio work, it's going to get the job done. Now it's going to do it with 36 megapixels. It may not be a great sports camera for action because it doesn't shoot that many, I think it's 5 frames a second. It doesn't shoot that fast in terms of frames per second, but I loved walking around with this camera when I took it overseas in place of the D4s. It goes down to 64 ISO, so that's where it comes in handy if you're in the studio. Now if you don't want these full-res 36 megapixel RAW files, you can dumb that down using RAW small. I wish they did what Canon did and have a small, medium, and large in there, but they don't. So you can dumb down the RAW file, which I personally wouldn't do if I was shooting. I think this is a fantastic wedding camera. I don't think you need a lot more frames a second to make it work. I think for the portraits you're going to do, the low light capability is very nice, and having the 64 ISO is also very nice. Now on the D750, if you are, I think, like I said, I think it's the most well-rounded camera that Nikon has made in the full frame lineup. I think that this, if today I had to personally make a decision on which camera to buy as a starting professional, the D750 would be it. I would take this over both of these cameras. Of course, I would buy a D4s if it was the, you could afford it, but if I'm thinking practically, if I'm just getting started and I don't have the full frame lenses and I have to buy them, I think the D750 is the most well-rounded. The video capabilities are extremely good, like I said, and the all-around professional feel, well, I can't say professional feel so much. It feels great in the hands, but it's smaller than the D610 and lighter and more narrow, but I really enjoy shooting this camera. Having the professional autofocus, the professional video capturing, and the high ISO capability, this is great for sports. This is great for portraits. This is great for studios. It's a 24 megapixel camera that shoots 6.5 frames a second. It's a little slower on the buffer side, but I think starting today, if I had to get a job, or if I needed my first DSLR that was a full frame, this would be it. Then I would buy a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200 and a 14 to 24 at some point when I could afford it. I think, like I said earlier, lenses are the most important thing you need to think about when you're buying full frame cameras. You do not want to put a kit lens on this from a DX camera, and I don't really recommend putting DX lenses on these cameras ever. I just don't. So keep that in mind, whether you're buying the Sigma art lenses or you're buying Nikon's fixed focal length or zooms, you gotta put good glass on this stuff to really get the best quality out of the pictures you're capturing. So D750 for me is where I would start. I think that if you're moving into making money, this is a great, well-rounded camera. You have to take into consideration video today. I think being a photographer today means shooting video. Having the ability to offer that. It's going to add more money to your bottom line if you're making money. That's extremely important. So all the reviews are up there. You can see the full reviews for yourself, download the full res files and the raw files to determine what you think of the cameras. But like I said, these are all great options. This one may not make sense. One of the things that is different between all of these other than the Nikon D4s, this has a built-in grip. I personally want to add a grip to each of these cameras. I feel it's more natural when you turn the camera like this to shoot verticals, that you just go like this instead of reaching your hand over here or reaching your hand under here. It's awkward, it's not so good on your hand, so let's go over the prices real quick for the grips. The Nikon D750s, the D810's grip is $399. Then it's $369 for the grip for the D750, and it's only $229 for the grip for the D610. I would stick with the Nikon grips. I wouldn't buy third parties and trust having issues out on a shoot where maybe the batteries aren't connecting right and you miss the shot that you're looking for. I think a battery grip is extremely important for shooting, like I just said, but you have to decide for yourself whether you want it or not. I got very used to it over the last 15 years or more of having a grip on all my cameras, so I highly recommend that. These are all the Nikon full frame cameras as of today. That's my feelings on which ones I think you should get if you are looking for it, depending whether you're a pro or if you're an amateur just moving up and looking for your first full frame body. That is what I have. Thank you guys very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya. So if you want to check out the reviews of the 3 cameras sitting in front of me, they are popping up on the screen right now. Go ahead and give them a watch to get the full reviews, download the JPEGs, and also check out some RAW files. But don't forget, if you like the videos that we're putting out here, go ahead and click the subscribe button to be notified when new videos go live.